standing in front of the Let's Get It Done crew because that's what it's all about over the next 35 days. I can especially relate to what must be frustrating, which is why you're here, to be in Washington, D.C. and feel like you want to help. You want to help us move the ball down the field, but the only way you can do that is if we get you to Virginia, to a battleground state. And so for the next 35 days, all of us need to be no task too small people, because we've got to leave it all on the field. I mean, that's the bottom line here. We've seen countless examples of how the other side is playing for keeps. Now, they've tried to knock us down at every turn. And today we had a great victory in Pennsylvania with their photo ID law. Democracy is not going to be held back. And we're the party that makes sure that we empower and enfranchise more people. They are the party that throws obstacles in the path of people who they know are going to, if they get to the polls, be more likely to support President Obama and Democrats up and down the ticket. So we've been tossing those obstacles out of the path of the voters that we know want to go to the polls. And you know, it doesn't matter whether they go to the polls for us or not. We're about making sure that everybody has the opportunity to vote. Yes, I know that's how people in Washington, D.C. feel. It's something that you couldn't feel more strongly about. We need you over the next 35 days to give us it all that you can. And what I like to say, and as I say, we're in the middle of a bus tour, a DNC bus tour all across the country, and I have said so many times to our supporters across the country as the bus has moved along the highways and byways, and is this, that the other side, they have a handful of billionaires that are trying to buy Mitt Romney the White House. And we have you. We have all of you. And when I spoke to President Obama about 17 months ago now, I got a call from the President of the United States, and he asked me to take on a third full-time job. My first full-time job is the loves of my life, my children, and being their mom. Representing my community in South Florida, in our nation's capital here, is my first professional responsibility. And then the President asked me to watch his back and bring him across the finish line in sharing the DNC. And I said yes to the President because when a President asks you to do anything, the answer is always yes. But I also said yes to the President because I knew, and so did my husband, that the impact of voters making the wrong decision, and that we would wake up on the morning of November 7th and you see in the Washington Post headline that says Mitt Romney elected 45th President of the United States, right? That's an unacceptable headline, an unacceptable outcome. And so we need to make sure that this is a no-regrets election. So when President Obama asked me to take on this additional responsibility, I told him that no one would outwork me and no one would outwork us. I felt confident I could make that promise to him on your behalf. But I can't keep that promise by myself. I need you to help me keep it. Because the other side has the money. They have the resources, they have the special interests, super PAC, corporate infused funding that they've been counting on. And we have the people of this country. And we know that we can carry President Obama back to the White House for a second term on your shoulders. And I can tell you, as a busy working mom, you know, what happens for me is that I've got a lot of balls in the air. And I know, and the way I describe it is this, is that the most precious resource for the other side is money. But we know that our most precious resource is your time. And I know that that's tougher for me to part with than almost anything else. I know when my daughter's elementary school PTA calls me and says, Debbie, could you come and staff the bake sale table in the cafeteria? Or could you just write us a $25 check? The $25 check is way easier. Finding the time to staff that table, much harder. And that's what we need you to do over the next 35 days. Please take out your calendars and figure out what part of every one of those 35 days you can give us. Because we're doing this thing. We have an opportunity. The President is out there in Las Vegas preparing for the debates that begin tomorrow night. We know that he's going to be ready. We know that the other side is ready too. I mean, they've had a tremendous amount of debate prep. They are playing for keeps. They've demonstrated that to us every step of the way. So this isn't over. I mean, yes, it's nice to see the polls that show the President doing well. I'd rather be us than them. But I want to make sure that no one gets complacent or cocky. We cannot take this race for granted. Anything could happen. Mistakes can happen for us too. There are ups and downs in every election. You know, some days we're up and some days we're down. We need to have more up days than down days, and over the next 35 days, you're our insurance policy. So whether it's door knocks or phone calls, coming down here, we're happy to have you at the DNC. Welcome, and we're throwing open our doors for you. On the weekends, we need you in Virginia. So just do whatever Kyle tells you, and everything's going to be fine. So that's my message, is that please, anytime you can give us, and also don't forget, communicate with your own personal network, because each of us has a sphere of influence, a sphere of personal influence that we know. I mean, I know, and I'm sure every one of you is like this too. A couple days before the election every year, my girlfriends start sending me emails or phone calls and saying, all right, Debbie, just give me my list. Who is, you're the one that's paying attention, you know all these candidates, tell me who I should go vote for. Yes. And that's nice, I take advantage of it every single time. So make sure that you are pressing your networks into supporting the president and Democrats up and down the ballot, but also get them engaged. Make sure they understand what's at stake. I can't tell you how many times I've said to people, and I think all of you have been in this situation too, in an upcoming election, this is the most important election of our lives. The only difference with 2012 is this one really is. So we can go get